Hello, future designers and developers. Today we're going to be taking a look at how to create a to-do list app. Now, we are only going to be going over the HTML and the JavaScript to make this functional. We might do a little bit of CSS if we want to clean it up, but for the most part, the design is up to you, so you do not need to follow this template exactly, but I'm going to show you what I did to create this to-do list. So on this to-do list, we can add go for a run. We'll be able to send that, and now we've got that added to our to-do list. We can mark it complete, or we can remove it entirely. So that's what we're going to be going over today. This video is just going to be on the HTML on how to create this app. So what we're going to do, we're going to create a container, which is this gray box. Then we're going to add a title. Then we're going to have our input with a button, and we're going to have an area where we can add all of our to-dos. So let's go through and let's create that. So the very first thing that we're going to be doing is going to be creating that container. So let's create a div with a class equal to container, and that's going to house everything inside of here. I'm just going to leave it like that, and let's close that up. Cool. So now we've got a container. Inside of that, let's have a little title. Let's make a h1 over here. I'm going to give this a class of title, and I'm just going to write to-do list. We'll close that up. Cool, got a title to it. After that, right after the title, we're going to actually have an input, and I'm going to keep this kind of clean inside of here, and I'm going to create a div class, and I'm going to have this, let's call this our to-do edition, because that's where we're going to actually add in a to-do, and inside of this we are going to have two separate elements. We are going to have the actual text input itself, and then we're also going to have a button. So we're going to have an input. Let me close this up real quick, and we'll come back and change that all up. Input, and then we're also going to have our button. So that's going to be our submit button. Cool. All right. Those are kind of the two things that we need. We're going to find an icon for that in just a second. But there we go. We're going to keep these all nice and organized together. They're on the same line because they're inside of that div, but they're also inline items. Both inputs and buttons are inline items. So for our input, let's give this a class. We're going to call this one, we'll call it exactly what it is, to do input. This is also going to be a type that is a text because we're inputting text. And then let's also give it a placeholder. So placeholder is going to be equal to write a to-do. I'm going to write a new to-do. And I'm doing it all lowercase. That's just the style of it. Why not? Cool. Then our button over here, this is going to have a specific type. The type is going to be submit because we're going to be submitting the text, so we want something to happen with that submit event to it. We're also going to give this a class, which we can call add to do, because that's what we're going to have our button do, is going to add to do. Now we don't have anything inside of this button for now, but I am actually going to go over to Ion Icons, and what we can do is we can find an icon over here that we like, that we want to have our to-do button. I think in my example I used this kind of arrow send thing. Yeah, let's we can use that one again, or we can use, I kind of like this arrow now. I'm feeling this arrow, why not? So I'm gonna grab this icon, I'm just gonna copy that, bring it over here, and I'm going to place it inside of the button. Nothing is gonna show up yet because I need to actually call out my, I'm just being annoying about this formatting of the text. But, oh, and it messed up all my formatting. just the spaces I added in. Cool. So what we need to do to actually be able to see that button is we need to use their link. So we'll go back over here. We'll go over to usage, and then there's a script that we have to copy and paste. So we're going to copy that and throw that at the very top of my HTML. So we got that script over there, and now we've got this arrow over here. Cool. So now we've got our title. We've got over here, we can write go for a run, and now we've got this button over here. But the button doesn't do anything yet, so we need to add some functionality to that. And we also want to make sure that we have an area where we can save all this. So inside of our HTML, after our div, this div right here is our to-do addition. So we're going to have, after that, we're going to have a div with a class equal to to-do. I'm going to keep that as one word, to-do list. Cool. So that is really it for the HTML. We've got this script up here that's just for our icons. We don't need to really worry about that. But then we have our container. Our container, you can see it ends at the very bottom, houses everything inside of our app. So we've got our title. We've got our to-do addition area, which contains both a input and a button. Inside of that button, we have our icon. And after that, we have another div area that is just our to-do list. Cool. That is it for the HTML. We're going to do our JavaScript over 2 episodes, I think, 2 little tutorials. So that's it. I'll see you in a little bit.